This is a part 2 to a different video that I made. And the topic is Norse Pagan Animism in Canada. So if you want to watch part 1 first, go ahead. Not a requirement for watching this video, but it's there if you want it. So the other topics that I want to go over are my personal beliefs, being a Norse Pagan Animist. And I also want to go over respecting closed practices because it's important and it's just the decent thing to do. And I also want to go over third thing. What was the third thing? Well, I don't remember what the third thing was, but I'll think of it later. And yeah, this might be more than just 2 videos. I might end up making basically a whole series on this. We'll see how long I end up talking today. Again, I'm just walking around and chatting. So for me, being a Norse Pagan Animist means treating and believing in the world as inherently alive. And what that translates to is believing in spirits. So I touched on this briefly in the first video I made on this topic, but there's an interesting relationship between being an animist from a pagan tradition, so a tradition that originates in Europe, and also being a person of European ancestry, but I'm an animist in Canada. So the way that I personally navigate this is that I don't get too caught up in names. So for example, a tree spirit is a tree spirit, a river spirit is a river spirit. I don't worry about using names that originate from a specific place. I in fact lean towards not using names at all. I go with the feeling of familiarity. I don't go with either ancestral names that are from closed practices that I'm not a part of, because that's disrespectful. Unless somebody tells me different, I would love to hear your opinion. If you are a person who believes differently, who is indigenous and not white. And then if you, I also don't tend to use Scandinavian names. And the reason for that is I'm pretty on the fence about certain things. Generally speaking, when it comes to just religion and spirituality in general, I tend to lean on the side of we all have different maps to the same things. So we're all on different journeys. Different people are going to be focusing on different things, and that's fine. I also am a hard polytheist, so I believe in many gods. And if your gods are different gods than the ones that I interact with, I truly am good for you. It doesn't do anything to me. If you have a different religion or a different deity that you worship, it doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because that's not quite what I mean to say. I just mean, like, I respect what journey you're on, and if it differs from mine, that's fine. But anyway, I'm getting a little off topic. The point is, I've heard many different opinions about the concept of nature spirits, and do different lands have different types of spirits? And is it just the language that we have for different types of spirits? Is it different cultures' ways of interpreting essentially the same phenomenon? Or is it that each land essentially has completely different spirits. Because of what I've explained already, that I lean towards different people are interpreting things in different ways. That's where I land on this topic, and that's why my thought process is I just say tree spirit, I just say river spirit, I just say plant spirit. Like I don't get caught up in defining things too much. I'm not really concerned about that. But some people are concerned about that. But that's where you end up getting into really dicey territory from if you are in Canada and you are not part of a closed practice. Like, you end up getting into dicey territory because you could very easily end up being culturally appropriative. And I don't want to throw that term around too much because it's definitely thrown around a lot these days. And the last thing that the internet needs is another white guy saying his 2 cents. But it's definitely one of those things where, because of my beliefs, I don't really worry about it too much. But I see where people who take spirits of the land more literally than I do, I see where they fall into this thing of, what do I do? And if you want to see some examples of how this has manifested in Canadian heathenry, you can, I mean, it's even on the Wikipedia page for heathenry in Canada. I'll link it down below. But like, there's some examples of some things that are pretty common in Canadian heathenry in terms of like in-person groups that is definitely controversial, and that I personally do have a lot of like concerns about, but also sometimes people are really attached to it, and it's a very controversial topic. And somehow when I started this channel, I thought that I would be a cozy creator. I thought that I'd be making like aesthetic videos with like feel good kind of nothing garbage content, but I apparently just want to go straight for the stuff that could potentially make people mad. I don't know. Because I take a more we're all on different journeys, different maps to the same thing, blah blah blah. Because I take that approach to spirituality and religion, I definitely I don't feel like me being a Norse pagan and not being in Europe, I don't feel like that prevents me in any way from feeling connected to the land that I live in. I don't feel like it has to be a hindrance to feeling connected to nature. And then I think the thing is that there's a history in Norse culture of really like horrible violence, and I'm a pacifist. I'm a pacifist Norse pagan, and like I think that I really want people just in general to be better than we were 1,000 years ago. I think, progress towards kindness and non-violence is the way to improve the world. I'm kind of rambling now, but I had a point. I guess the point that I was trying to make is that if you are a pagan of any type, whether you're a Hellenist or you're a Celtic pagan, whatever you are, like, if you don't live in Europe, or if you're not of that ancestry, it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't. It doesn't mean that you can't connect with nature. It just doesn't. Just be respectful of the people and the land you are around, and just... I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. And I recognize that it gets more complicated if you believe very literally in certain types of spirits. But in that case, you're gonna have to reach out to people. Anyway, I've been rambling for a while now, so I think I'm gonna wrap this video up. But yeah, it's a lovely day today in Canada, and right now there's quite a bit of wind, as I'm sure you can tell, and it's actually, as a result, not too smoky. There's still plenty of wildfires going on, so yeah. Hopefully it is better next year, but we'll have to see. So, yeah. See you later.